You're working with manufacturers and distributors on AI agents every day. When you're scoping out where AI can actually help, how do you identify which processes are good candidates versus which ones are just shiny object syndrome?
And that's a great question because a lot of companies are asking that exact thing,
Mhm.
right? I hear that, CIOs are being asked, how do we use AI and where should we use it? And is it just hype or where do we start? And then a lot of times I get to go into a conference room with companies like that and we start with some established use cases, areas where we know AI can be used to support the value chain of manufacturers and the supply chain of distributors. And sometimes that means that we land on an AI use case, but occasionally we land on use cases that are just, hey, we need a new solution for this. And it could be in Power Apps, and it doesn't have to be a Copilot Studio type of
Mhm.
thing. Generally, I like to see that there's a strong desire, right, towards making a change.
Yeah.
So a good use case in my mind is something that is going to change your revenue, your costs, maybe save you time to deliver something or
Mhm.
increase the customer experience. And so if you're not, changing one of those dials, then you probably have a good idea or a good intention and not something that you can align a group of people, a whole organization around building a solution and adopting that solution. Specific to manufacturing distribution, a lot of times demand planning or demand forecasting is a good AI use case. And
Mhm.
that one isn't really generative AI. When I say generative AI, I mean like ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok
Yeah.
or Anthropic's Claude. So any of those, it's more of a more established prediction use case, right? Given the fact that Dag always buys one roll of toilet paper a month. Well, guess what? Probably next month he needs one roll of toilet paper, right? And he
Yeah.
doesn't need to pre-buy a couple cases. I use that one intentionally. But yeah, so there are other well-established AI use cases in manufacturing that a lot of them work well on the Microsoft stack, like in AI Foundry or in Copilot Studio.
Yeah. So when you go in to a new client, do you often take what you've learned from other clients, like, oh, very likely you can use the same agents here, or do you go in with a blank sheet and then see like what they need from scratch?
I do a little bit of both. It depends on my audience. So, I appreciated the long introduction about who I am. One of those things was I used to be in delivery, and so I used to be engaged with one customer or
Mhm.
one organization for many years to get to go live, right? And then now I found myself in a position where I talk to about 100 organizations a year. And so I'm a
That's a lot.
lot more at the surface level, more at the strategic level, less on the button clicks that get you to go live. But what that lets me do is exactly what you said. I get to take what I learned about what works well for these 5 other organizations, and then I might ask a probing question at this new organization. Hey, do you also struggle with the fact that it takes a long time to configure a product and get a quote to your customer? And a lot of times I think I already know the answer, but I
Yeah.
want to ask the question and I want to hear where are the pain points. And we start drilling into those pain points because a lot of times those are the areas people are most wanting to change, is the area that's really that thorn in
Yeah.
the side, and they're willing to put some time and energy and thought behind what could the future look like and does that make sense. And I think too that you had mentioned shiny objects, and that's very easy to want to just deploy the latest technology. I was in IT as well. It's like, wow, we got to find a nail for this hammer because I love the way that hammer looks. It's very shiny, and I
Yeah.
just want to swing that hammer, baby.
Yeah.
And it's not quite like that, right? Like when we get into the room with a bunch of executives or a bunch of let's say it's customer service managers or supply chain managers, they're really thinking about value and speed of how they get things out the door or get things in the door. And the number one thing probably in those settings is really just a realistic expectation of, hey, AI is going to help you. It's not likely to replace you, but
Yeah.
I think of it as an AI powered automation. So whenever I hear, oh, it takes too many clicks, or, I enter in the PO and then I hit submit and then I have to come back after lunch and double check it because it updates at the noon update in
Yeah.
our system. Whatever those things are, I'm sort of tuning my ear into those pain points that an automation can solve if I'm looking to apply generative AI. And then there's others like prediction or optimization algorithms, like an inventory optimization algorithm that you can do and things like that.